All right, Zach. All right, so I'm going to do this audio recording. I'll try to send you the file, but I'll also make like a YouTube video as well. So no, you can get it no matter what you want to do. All right. So how long have I been in education? Let's see. I have been teaching at the college level since 2008. Right now, my duties are, create class curriculum to teach, everything from learning support, uh, you know, uh, freshman comp to 1102 to lit courses to creative writing courses. Also, although it's not in my contract, where let's say highly encouraged to serve on committees, student clubs, things of that nature. So, for instance, might create a new degree or a new course at the school, or do research, statistics, gather data to try to improve enrollment, or to try to improve how effective we are at teaching the courses, and strategies to help students succeed. Is all kinds of stuff. Let's see. In my time in education, I've taught undergrad courses, and I have taught some high school students who were gifted and were given vouchers in New York to attend very high, wealthy kind of Ivy League high schools, and these students would come from like a more the public school system. Um, Let's see. I chose education because I felt like it was a way to give back to society, and also a way for me to write and have a career at the same time. Those careers are kind of linked. Um, I did not want to. I just personally I wanted to teach at the college level. My ultimate professional goal. Well, I at this point I may be moving out of education and into something new and different. Just because I've been paid so little for so long, I basically just can't live this way anymore. So I guess my ultimate professional goal used to be in education. To teach at the college level, and to continue teaching at the college level, and just teach. But it just quite frankly, it just doesn't pay enough, and it's becoming where it is not worth the stress that we're given from the state and from administration to continue to teach, and to make so little money. Let's see. How much time do I spend on school related activities outside of the regular school hours? Well, we did a study on this, and what we found was that professors, on average, in the humanities department at Gordon are spending approximately 62 hours of their week working, and that is comprised of 8 hours of office hours a week, plus usually 5 courses that are an hour and 15 minutes apiece, twice a week. So if you do the math on that, then the bulk of what we do is actually at home, and more than overtime. But you don't expect to get paid for that. Let's see. Yeah, so I already discussed committees and stuff like that. Oftentimes, we're required to go to several meetings a semester, and encouraged to go to, for instance, I go to every theater performance. Sometimes I even, part of the theater performances. I try to come, for a few games, every semester from the various teams. So those things are pretty regular. The committees usually meet once a month, sometimes twice a month if you're on a busy committee. Meetings, we usually have two or three at the beginning and the end of the semester, and two or three sprinkled throughout the semester. That's meetings with, the whole faculty or department. Um, And then if you're a student club, if you're involved with a student club, that can meet every week or once a month. It just kind of depends. Um, the field of education is much different than I thought it was going to be. I did not anticipate so much trouble, I guess, or so many roadblocks to the being able to teach the students. For instance, some of the committees and some of the assignments that you're given from administration or from committee works, or administration asks you to be on the committee, they're absolutely pointless. You may compile a vast amount of information only for it to not be used at all, or to be used to justify denying you a raise, or or whatever. So I think one of the biggest roadblocks to teaching has been actually administration and stupid state requirements. And generally these things are handed down from people who don't teach, and they have business degrees or corporate management degrees, and they're trying to kind of impose a corporate structure or treat a college like a faculty and students like a product, and professors like factory workers. And instead of letting the people who know how to teach design things and do things that are effective, they typically kind of make that process difficult. And it may not, I'm not, don't mean to sound as villainous as it is. A lot of these administrators, are trying to impose budget restraints and things like that. That just, the two just don't go hand in hand very well. And so, uh, I guess over the years, I've seen it where there are more and more administrators who have more and more influence in the college classroom, and that's how it's changed since I've started teaching. And it seems like that education itself and the colleges seem to get more and more trouble the more administrators you have that get involved in the classroom. More and more, budget crises, lack of enrollment, things like that. Have been a problem since I've started working, and that stuff's kind of out of, that's not always in the control of administrators either. Sometimes there's a natural ebb and flow to these things. But also, it seems that the students seem to be. I seem to get more students that cheat and are less willing to actually read a book or do anything to really attain an education. There seem to be less motivated students since I started. But on the other hand, I love teaching. I love it when a student learns something and engages and like finds something cool and thinks and learns, progresses in their writing skill or thinking, or finds a love of literature or poetry, and that's the most rewarding part. The most stressful part again is dealing with, trying to balance doing everything you can for the student with the extra crap you have to do that has nothing to do with teaching, that's handed down from administration. That's probably the most stressful stuff, and worrying about getting laid off, whether or not you'll even have a job the next year. Uh, you know, I think the public very much has a misperception of how education works. At the college level, I think they think that professors go in a couple hours a week and then they just go home and they have this free life where they don't do anything. They don't realize how much work goes into it and how much you have to put in to get the degrees that you have, and how little it pays. Um, how can education be altered? Well, I think all the power has to be given to those who teach. I think the entire thing needs to be torn down and rebuilt from bottom up. But that's a huge conversation. Um, let's see. How does the school handle content standards? I'm really am not sure what what you mean by that. I guess content standards and curriculum. We have a state mandated documents that were composed by professors that kind of tell what the goals and criteria are for every course, and these are designed by professors so that they're pretty much comparative, and quality to other universities across the system. They may not all be exactly the same, but there's a general consensus about what goals and learning objectives need to be met, even though that may be achieved through through kind of different means by different professors. We have kind of a standard course curriculum that we have to follow in terms of goals and learning objectives, not in terms of content. Um, let's see, professional learning opportunities. I'm currently using the TAPS program to get my third master's. Also, there used to be a budget for travel to go to conferences where you learn teaching techniques and whatever presentations other professors have put together, but that budget has disappeared as of late. So we can only go to things that we can drive to, and we only have can go to very limited kinds of conferences that don't cost very much these days. Let's see what else. Uh, well, as far as behavioral management, at the college level, it's behave or get out. That's it. Uh, if somebody is a continuous problem, they fail the course, they don't come back. Uh, Diversity in the classroom. Let's see. Well, I've had students who, I'm not really, college professors aren't really trained to deal with some issues, especially, visual impairments, learning impairments, behavioral impairments like autism. But yet I've had students who are blind, deaf, and autistic, and you just have to do the best for the students. I had a student who, you can get we get equipment where, I speak and everything is typed up for students who, are hearing impaired or, blind, whatever. But, as far as other behavioral issues, you just have to do your best for the student. And then if there's, behavioral issues from students who, don't behave like adults, they have to go. That's it. They can go until they can act right. Um, you know, uh, let's see. Suggestions for people coming into the field. Well, as far as curriculum and learning goes, you know, uh, talk to your other professors, see what works for them, see what strategies you have. I mean, there's just so much you can learn from your other professors. And generally you'll probably go through some kind of, adjunct period, or TA period as a college professor. You'll pick up a lot there. As far as diverse learners go, you really have to think about. I try to provide the content in ways that's experiential learning, visual learning, learning those who read for that way, those who listen, that way. Try to get the material in all formats possible. Um, Also, I try to make the material as diverse as my classroom is. Try to represent everybody with the selections that I choose. You know, Suggestions regarding classroom management and student behavior. That's a little different at the college level. By that time they're expected to be adults or they have to leave. I mean, I don't, that doesn't really apply. Um, we don't really engage with parents as well, so that doesn't really apply to us either. How would I define diversity? Diversity is, I mean, has its definition in Oxford, but in my classroom, it means that you may have students who come from very, of all different races, who come from, you may have students who come from a background where there are food security issues. You may have students that are wealthy. You may have a 60-year-old student. You may have a 16-year-old student all in one classroom. You may have a transgender student. And the important thing is that you try to, just have a genuine love for all your students and think about where they're coming from, and you just try to, do your best as you can. Culture, I define culture as a group of people who are living their lives by a set of beliefs that all interrelate the gods or God, our human experience in the planet together, and we live in a way that makes those beliefs come to some kind of horrible or beautiful reality. To me, that's what a culture is. How do I find an inclusive classroom? Well, a classroom where everybody can be heard, a classroom where if I'm picking literature, for instance, for the class, then there's literature for everyone, no matter if they're straight, gay, bi, transgender, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. Just try to have something that everybody might connect with. And definitely nothing that makes anyone feel excluded or hurt. I guess same thing for multicultural. I mean, I guess that applies to the multicultural. What types of diversity do I remember having in my classroom? Well, I think things were a little different back in the '90s when I was in college. The classes were predominantly white students. Very rarely was there anyone who was openly gay. Uh, I think there was definitely less diversity then. But at the same, time, I always would meet someone, from another country, or someone, of another race. Even though there may be very few students who weren't white in the classroom, I still got to meet new people and experience new things. And I try to foster that diversity by picking art or literature that represents everyone. That somebody has something they can connect with. I think diversity is. I think at the college level, I think most professors, it's pretty much uniform. It's pretty much the same. Uh, a particular lesson that involves teaching some type of diversity. Well, again, I think this is mainly through the literature that I choose. You know, uh, God, what books in our library discuss diversity either directly or indirectly? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of I mean, that's a ton of stuff. I mean, speaking of my field, I mean, all of literature is. I mean, we've got stuff from every country, from all kinds of different authors. I mean, that's kind of a big question to really get into. I mean, for instance, the things that I've taught in my comic book class. So, I think that's a problem. Let's see. As I become a new teacher, what would you tell me about racial or ethnic differences in the classroom and how to approach them? I think one thing is you have to be extremely tolerant. You have to always keep your cool. For instance, I had a student that I held back after class one time to talk to because he had plagiarized an essay, and this was during a lot of the police shootings. And I was like, I tried to be, extremely nice. Hey, this essay was plagiarized. I mean, you got to know you can't do that. So you have to write the essay yourself. And the student threw his hands up like the victims of the police shooting that have been unarmed, and that protest, like somehow I was kind of the enemy, and that I was somehow in the wrong because he plagiarized. And I think there are some extreme differences between my experience and his experience as a human being, and the kind of the kind of threatening feeling that students can get from authority figures in the classroom. That there may be a lot of their perceptions that you don't realize that they're experiencing. So you just have to be patient, and you have to just be firm and hold true to your rules and make them apply to everyone. Uh, diverse learners, look at a lot of his experience, do a little research and find out how to teach the different kinds of learners, and then the rest you pick up on the go. As you find what works, you experiment, you put in the effort. Uh, managing student behavior, I was talking about the college level. So, it's pretty much like, behavior get out. Anyways, sorry. Sorry, I skipped back ahead. Gender differences. Uh, Again, you try to teach everybody the same. You're going to have people in the classroom that are not your gender that have a different perception, so you gotta have to try to have empathy, see things their way. One thing you might experience is second language, English as second language students. And that takes a lot more time. And, to be honest, you really need training in how to deal with that. That's something that we don't, always have, that we're not given, yet we have to deal with this situation. So, again, you have to spend time, communicating and working with these students a little bit more, you know. Um, One thing you have to be aware of as far as social class differences is that some students aren't going to have access to things you assume that they will, like electricity. I, for instance, get extra teacher, desk copies of books sometimes, and I try to give those to students who I feel like don't have them or need them. So I don't know. Anyways, equity issues. I'm not sure how to approach that question. We don't do IEPs. Again, that one doesn't apply. I guess the main types of exceptionalities I see in the classroom is people with learning disabilities and how to overcome that. And again, it's just like I try to experiment with different ways of teaching the same lesson to see what works with them, especially one on one in office time, office hours. Uh, Differentiating planning and instruction based on specific diversities in the classroom. Again, at the college level, I mean, really I try to give the same lesson in different formats. I kind of mix up, lecture with one-on-one time, with pure time, with different kinds of exercises that try to get people to do things. I also provide videos of the lectures. If people work better that way. I mean, that's kind of it. I guess the main suggestion I have about diversity is you just try to have tolerance for everyone, hold everyone to the same rules, and try to have lessons or ideas that represent everybody. That's it.